This is low-key like the best food panel
I told you guys we were going to have fun.
I really feel like I'm on a talk show.
I was like, we're going to just have a chill vibe and we're going to have fun and just trust me. And then we were back there and I was like, this is the food one. And they're like, oh, you don't always do it with food? And I was like, never. No. Never done food before. Okay, but now we're going to talk about food. Wait, lost one of my cards. This is an important question, and I think it kind of speaks to what you were talking about in your answer that was going to win you the whole thing about elevating other chefs of different cultures. What actually matters in the kitchen? Because I think so often people think you have to go to culinary school, you have to have the right knives, you have to have certain pedigree to be a good chef. And being a Black woman, I know that a lot of that is just gatekeeping. So what are the things that actually matter to be a great chef or a great cook?
For me, I believe what makes a great chef is the discipline. And it's the discipline about the small things, right? Keeping your station clean, folding your towels. There's always a cook first. Those things. As far as cooking and culinary school, I didn't go to culinary school. Right? Culinary school is just somewhere for you to learn from someone else. And so I just invite the people into the restaurant and learn from people around me, right? It's not who I learn from as long as I'm learning. And so that's where, that's how I learn. I invite L.A. in, and give and work with cooks or people that wouldn't have a chance in the restaurant and learn from their culture, learn from their household, learn from, their style of eating, their style of cooking. None of this shit is new. It's not new, right? And so that's how I learn. I think that's what makes a great chef, discipline on the small things and learning from people around you. Other than that, you're just creating the same thing.
You have to be crazy. I think that's requirement number one, right? You gotta be properly crazy.
I think you have to be crazy to go into this industry.
Yeah, but you're gonna cook for a living. You're actually crazy.
What kind of crazy? Because there's a lot of kinds of
the
crazy.
Creative crazy. And I think I think to make a great cook, I didn't go to culinary school either. So that's why I struggle even with the word chef. I don't like to be called a chef, but you have to just be very creative. You can't be put in a box and be A, B, C, D. This is how the recipe goes. You can't be contained. I always think of people who cook for a living as pirates. We're just pirates on the sea, being just crazy people, and we're those people. We're proper pirates. I think that also at the same time, you just have to be able to make mistakes, and you just have to learn how to season shit. If you can season things, that's a superpower. And it's true. People just don't know how to have a whole chapter in my first book about that, sazon and getting to know that element, because it is a secret ingredient. His food is always going to be different than mine because our hands are different, our soul is different, our whole thing is different. But the only way you're going to be able to get to that is by trusting yourself, by being this wild, crazy person and being creative and being open-minded. You can't be ABC. Outside of that is just, having the courage to,
Fail.
Yeah. And be fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I just want to say, because every great dish is built off the bones of the dishes you failed, right? No one gets it right the first time. Right. And so
unless you're Gordon Ramsay, right?
Right? So, it's all built off the bones. So,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, Javier, you're a professional eater. Who else is that your dream job, to be a professional taco eater? I thought being a professional reader was good, and then I met Javier, so. But let me ask you a similar, I guess the same question, but from an eating perspective. What to you makes a good chef? What do you look for? Is it all about the taste, or is there something that you can glean that's aside from that?
What's different, because it's in a restaurant setting or a street setting, but you really got to know a lot. What I look for, what impresses me is just seeing how chefs and if you're a chef de cuisine or if you're a higher up, how you treat your employees or how you treat your cooks and your servers. You really get to see the effect of that down all the way to the customers and to the diner. Because sometimes, not anyone can make like a perfect dish, but sometimes if the service is really, really, really good, we understand. I understand that like restaurants, they're living, breathing things, and there's off nights and there's good nights. So I think I'm at a point now in my career where I like just someone who's really nice and of course if the food is good. That's in L.A. There's so much good food here, and there's such a high standard, so that's a given for sure.
Bricia, let me ask you, because you said you struggle with the word being called a chef. Can you talk about that? Because I think so, like, I don't know if you all know but there's no Michelin star restaurant that's African chef. Like that doesn't exist. And there's so much like gatekeeping in food, and there's so much of like, this thing should be priced cheap because it's a taco. Whereas if it was made, in someone else's kitchen, if Gordon Ramsay made a taco, wouldn't be cheap, right? But it's the same thing, and it probably, Gordon Ramsay's taking a lot of strays tonight. Sorry to that man. But I'm just wondering like where that discomfort with the word chef comes from for you, because I think for everyone sitting here, like, you're definitely a chef. I mean, we're buying your cookbook, so.
Hilarious. It's just so many things, right? I mean, yes, maybe it is insecurities, maybe it is whatever you say. I think because I know so many incredible chefs, and I understand I haven't worked in proper kitchens in my life. I've never worked in different restaurant kitchens. I've never really went to school. I really just cook food from Oaxaca, and I mean, I'm a really fucking great cook, yeah. But I think because of that, and because there's certain like terminology like stations, right? Like I'm sure you know all the names of all the freaking restaurants. Like we don't have those station names in my restaurant. We know like certain cuts and certain this and that, and I'm not familiar with that. Just whatever I know, it's just through just meeting people I know and my friends and being around like proper chefs. I have a lot of respect for that. So I feel that I would just be a little kind of like, well, girl, like relax, you're just, but it could be just insecurities. It could be whatever. I also think that there's a lot of people that call themselves chefs just because
they watch The Bear?
Yeah, right. and I'm, and I think like, are you though? So I think it's a little bit of both sides, but yeah, I mean, I think I just when people tell me like what you do, I'm just like, I cook for a living. Like it's
just so crazy.
But I just want to say, when you say you don't know the terminologies, or you don't know this, or you don't know that, or the proper.
I mean, I haven't made time to learn. No, I think Google will like give me the answers.
This is the thing. To hell with all that.
Yeah.
Right. This is what I was saying about none of this shit is new. Right. You cook meat in liquid in the oven. Right. They call it braising.
You mean a braised chef?
My grandmother didn't call it that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You make flour and milk and butter. Like, that's a bechamel. My granny called it white gravy. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like we've been doing this shit because someone else put a name to it or a title to it. And, like, we have to now follow. No, like well,
yeah, that's true. I mean, I do
that's
think,
what I'm saying. So you're doing everything that a chef is already doing. Like,
this is therapy also.
Like, and this is why I hire and do the things I do, right? Like, I'll never hire from Color and Blue. Like, those people have an opportunity, right? Walk down the street on your skateboard, life has beat your ass, and you want a shot. Come on in, right? You've made a decision in your life, and you went to Trade Tech, Maxine Waters, or one of these city colleges, and went to culinary school. I'm going to meet you where you at, right? I want those folks. Right, I want the folks that feel that they don't measure up, right? And we're gonna show them that ex-felons, black, brown, and people who wouldn't have a chance nowhere else can have one of the fucking hottest restaurants in the country. Whether they give us the chef title or not, right?
Do you use the chef title in your kitchen?
I don't require it.
But do you ask each other? Do they use it with each other?
They do, but the thing is, everyone is called chef, The
like
line
in the
cook,
bear.
the dishwasher, everyone is called chef. Everyone that touches touches an ingredient, cooks, is called chef. Everybody in the kitchen.
And you've worked in other kitchens. Do you feel like that makes a difference in your kitchen? Like, how important is the chef title, do you think, to
It's not
your
important
staff?
at all to me.
No, but to your staff, to the people who work with you and for you and in the restaurant.
I mean, I think just keeping that equal level, right? We're all learning together. You know, I may know more than you in this area, but then I'm here learning from you, so you know things that I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think what's important, the most thing that's important is being a cook first, right? Chef, do with that, be a cook. You know, respect the ingredients. You know what I mean? Like really, whatever cuisine you're cooking, whatever dish you're cooking, do it at the best level that you can, right? I've had people come in that worked at 2 Michelin star restaurants and wanted to come down to L.A. and get a start, and they just didn't respect our level of cooking, right? But they're the chef. But if you're a cook, you're gonna respect every cuisine, every ingredient, because that's what you do. That's just who you are. You know, that title fucks with people's head.
Right. This is a question for Javier. So obviously you two are cooking. Javier, not a cook. You're a professional eater, as I mentioned.
Which, by the way, I almost was a cook because I knew that I love food when I was, you know, I emailed Jonathan Gold when I was, 15, 16. And I was like, hey, if this guy can get paid to eat, so can I. So that was because I come from like a punk rock, like nihilistic, like anti-everything kind of background. So it's like, I was like,
You're also a pirate.
Yeah, pirate.
A brain pirate or something. I thought so my family, everyone's like, okay, you like food, so you're gonna go to culinary school. So actually, I was enrolled to go to the CIA in New York, and then I went. I mean, in whatever Poughkeepsie or whatever, and I went, checked out the campus for like the student kind of welcome day, and I just realized that was in my passion. So I read this book, you know, where you went for the books. I read this book that kind of made me realize that it was Michael Roman's The Making of a Chef. If you like The Bear. This is probably 17 years ago, but it's just as relevant. Wait, you were gonna ask?
Literally, my question was, how did you get your start? So just keep going.
Oh, okay. How
did you get your start?
Yeah. But I mean, there's a lack of representation in food writing because at its core, we have to remember that you know, because I come from the streets, kind of like my homie here, and you know, like that food writing is a very privileged thing. Like you have to have a disposable income to be able to go out and go eat at restaurants and stuff. So, you know, I didn't come from that background at all. The opposite of that. But I did not let that stop me. I would go to like all the restaurants and collect takeout menus and kind of read them like books. Just imagine like a drawer full of like takeout menus, like hundreds of them. And I just used to kind of learn the language of like, you know, because I grew up in the San Gabriel Valley, Chinese, Vietnamese, just basic food terms. So. You know, when you come from that kind of earnest, kind of humble background, you don't take it for granted for sure. Especially like, you know, yes, I take a deep breath at least once a week, and I remember like I am living my dream job. This is exactly what my 15-year-old self wanted to do. You know, and
did you know it was a possible job when you were 15, or you didn't?
I mean, if Jonathan Gold was like publishing
Right.
Reviews, yeah, for sure. I'm like, if this guy can do it, so can I. So
I talk to so many authors, and they talk about like becoming a writer, and a thing that they often say is they didn't know that you could actually be like a professional writer. So that's why I was asking, like, if
but there's again kind of like it's the same thing with the kitchen. You know, right now you don't really need like to have like a platform, especially now with social media. Like if I always tell, because I do a lot of these guest lectures at USC. Which, by the way, rejected me when I tried transferring there.
losers.
And now
They're begging you.
And now I taught like a study abroad class in Tijuana.
Wow.
Levels. I always tell anyone, you know, like you really like no one is ever gonna have your perspective and your viewpoints and your kind of thoughts and reflections on food. And we all need to eat, and the more conversations and reflections on food, the better it is for restaurants, for just food media in general, which food media has been historically white and very privileged. So
The hospitality industry overall.
Microphone.
The hospitality industry overall.
Thank you. So I'm going to take the audience back to a time you may remember, March 2020, lockdown A lot of takeout for some of us, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. I think a lot of people, aside from medical workers, were on the front of our minds were our favorite restaurants, our favorite food providers. In your book, Asada, you talk about how that was sort of a catalyst for you in writing this book because you didn't get to have your Asadas, et cetera. And then with Alta, you had just opened a year and a half before, and it also comes up, in the book. And I'm just wondering, because I have you all here, what was it like, and what has it changed? What did COVID change for how you approach going into your kitchen, serving food, eating food, working in food, whatever that means to you?
So during COVID, when we were able to open restaurants, we just focused on the small. We just doing the work, right? We didn't know if we were going to make it, if we were going to have to close. So we just went in and focused on the community and our staff. I would literally take a grocery list from my team and order from the purveyors and divvy it up so they wouldn't have to go to the stores. We cooked right there in the community. We started giving away food. Like if someone came in and was like they couldn't afford food, like we allowed them to order up to 4 dishes to feed a family. And you had people like, how you know they won't take advantage of that? And I'm just thinking for myself, like, if you're humbled enough to come and say that you don't have money and you're hungry, I don't think everyone's just going to be able to do that. And so we just focused on that, and it wasn't even about making any money. And I think when it came time to open, the community remembered that. And, like, Alta has been thriving better now just before the pandemic. But during that time, we were so tight that we were able to redo the systems, right? Alta had took off in the beginning, so everything was wacky, And so we were able to rewrite the SOPs and grow gradually. And that's kind of like, it was, I always hate to say it worked for us. Right, and I hate to say that because a lot of people suffered during that time, but Alta is better coming out of the pandemic.
Trying to not remember.
I feel that. I had twins December 2019, so I'm also trying not to remember that time period.
I would say this. I think same as Trev. We fed all of our people, and we would order groceries for everybody. And I remember every Monday or Wednesday, you'd have a line of people grabbing their basic necessities, and the line was just people that used to work with us, right? Because what else can you do? And I here's where I think when people tell me oh my gosh, how's Guelaguetza? I'm like, listen, girl, I'm open, and it's 2023. I am thriving no matter what. If you are a restaurant and you are open today, and you were open before, you're gonna be just fine.
Yeah. What about you? What changed for you, or what does it mean now to eat?
Well, I mean, I can speak more for LA Taco. So the pandemic, the 2020 was, I think, one of our highest traffic years and that was how LA Taco developed more its our kind of fearless stance on taking social justice and accountability journalism, just head on, but also still writing about food too. So for us, because we would. So LA Taco is a unique site that we will have articles about sheriffs that are abusing their power, or sheriff gangs, or LAPD misconduct. But then we'll also have the 6 best tacos in West Adams, which
we're one of them.
his plantain tacos freaking bomb. So so the pandemic for us made us zero in on that and just kind of made us, because it's a really weird. I mean, not weird, but it's really never in 1,000 years I would have ever expected a concept like LA Taco to work, where it's half really intense kind of political just reporting and also best tacos and food. That's what the pandemic made us sharpen ourselves in that way.
This is why it's great. This is
absolutely.
definitely 1,000% like why you're here. That's the vibe of my life. Intense political stuff and tacos.
Yeah.
A dream. Okay, I have one more quick question, then we're gonna do our last little bit. But who are the chefs or cookbooks or cooks that you all look to when you wanna stretch yourself or think differently or feel stuck, or like what are your comfort chef cookbook type vibes? Or do you have them?
Right now, I really want to learn more about Korean cooking. So I've just been reading Korean Home Cooking is the name of the book, and just like bedside, I haven't really like started doing like cooking myself, but that food. But I think I just love reading, and I have this really infatuation with Korean cuisine. And I grew up in Koreatown-ish just because my restaurant's there, and I'm a big fan of Korean barbecue, and the similarities between Korean food and Mexican food and Korean culture and Mexican culture. So I think right now I'm really inspired by Korean culture.
I love it.
K-pop.
Javier?
I've recently been getting into actually just had my first article published for this magazine called Imbibe. And I think like when you do food writing for a long time like me, it's easy to get a little jaded. So I've recently found like the cocktail mixology, just beverage, coffee. It's its own different beast and genre that I'm really kind of enjoying, because it's for advocates that just really enjoy the nuances, which can be extended which can be extended to other things in life. Like I was trying to make with my Amaro thing that I messed up on. But yeah, so Imbibe magazine and any other writers there, and I recommend that.
I've been really thinking about like putting a menu together around pickling and curing and fermentation and smoke and open fire, like that really old school before restaurants type of cooking and storing food. And so right now the book that I just got is The Art of Fermentation. But when it comes to inspiration and other chefs, like I get inspired and I invite them to come cook with me, right? So
We're gonna cook together.
we're gonna cook together.
We broke that news in backstage. This is gonna happen, a collab between these two.
Yeah.
We're all invited, but I get first dibs on reservations.
Yes. You get a VIP table. You get
Yes,
the chef's table.
I get the chefs, and you will call me chef. I have no problem with that.
And so that's where I get inspired. I'll reach out and I ask to collaborate, invite them to the kitchen, and we cook together, right? I learn from them. Hopefully they learn from me, and hopefully the guests get something new, right? When you bring in techniques and cultures and flavors and energy together, you create something special. You know what I mean? Something that I wouldn't be able to create on my own. And like that's the whole goal for me, is to change this industry in whatever way I can, leave a footprint in whatever way I can.
I love it. Okay, we're gonna do our last little bit, but before we do, I like to do the thank yous now while you're still paying attention to me. So obviously, thank you to our guests. Thank you to LAist for having this show. Thank you to Tony for doing all the tech stuff. Becca, who's my producer, who tells me yes all the time, which is insane. I can never get over the fact that I'm like, we're gonna do this. And she's like, okay, sure. So Becca, always thank you. I also wanna let you all know, the last one for the books is September 14th. We'll be back here. It's the book to screen one that we were gonna do in May, and then I got COVID. So we had to cancel it, but everybody's coming back. Attica Locke, Van Lathan, and Jeff Yang. We're gonna be talking about book to screen. So put it in your calendar, September 14th, right back here. There won't be food, but it'll still be fun. It'll still be fun. And I also just wanna acknowledge that the SAG went on strike today along with WGA. So we will be talking about that if that is still going on. And just shout out to my SAG homies. As a former theater major, I know many people, and I hope that the studios get their shit together. And last thank you goes to Now Serving LA Cookbook Store. You guys can all get your cookbooks at the end of this. They're going to be signing. Support local independent bookstores. I know it was just Prime Day, but it's really nice to support bookstores in your community because they give jobs to your community. They provide community for your community. They provide spaces for these people to continue doing what they do. So please support your local independent bookstores. We have about 65, I think, here in Los Angeles. So just check it out. With that being said, our last bit, we call it 5 for the books. Everybody who does this, the slideshow. My friend Billy did that. He's not here today, but thanks, Billy. I ask everybody these same 5 questions, sort of a speed round. So first one, what is the first book you remember loving?
Go Ask Alice.
Ooh. Okay, there's a book that just came out called Unmasking Alice.
Yeah, I heard. I don't want to know.
You do. I read it.
No, I don't want to speak.
You got to know.
No, I don't want to.
It's an expose book about Go Ask Alice.
No, why? But I also remember reading Forever.
Is that, I don't know that.
Judy Blue.
Oh. I wasn't a Judy Blume girly. Okay, go ahead.
The first book that came to mind was Marilyn Manson's his autobiography, the long road out of hell.
I love it here. What's yours?
Color Purple.
Oh, classic. Okay, what is the perfect snack and beverage for reading time?
Popcorn and wine? Hot
Sure.
Cheetos and wine?
That's the Rachel Lindsay, popcorn and wine.
Whatever fresh pastry from your local bakery or panaderia, and like a nice single origin, like I don't know, pour over coffee or home espresso.
Okay.
Chips, fries, and Kool-Aid.
Gotta get those pages nice and greasy. Okay, what is one book you hope to read before you die?
Like from beginning to end?
Yeah.
The Bible.
The Bible.
Oh, man.
Good luck.
I'm trying.
You'll get there.
Actually, the Noma Guide to Fermentation.
The Noma Guide to Fermentation.
It's a beast.
Yeah, that's the one I'm on right now. So that one, I hope
That
I can
one.
get through that one.
Okay. How much more do you have? Okay, what's one book you have exactly 0 interest in ever reading?
Ramsey.
Jeff
We love
Ramsey.
those.
Anything surrounding calculus, I'm good. I don't do public math.
Man, I'm gonna skip on this one.
No, you can't.
I don't.
He forfeit. So what you doing tonight?
You know what? You know what?
He's
You know
out.
what? You know what?
Okay,
fast.
contestant number 3, you win again.
You know what? I just remembered. I did one.
Oh, good. Here we go.
It's kind of a weird story, but so on this topic of co-authoring, there's a person that wrote a book, and we can talk after if you want to know. I'm not gonna say it aloud, but they pretty much tried to erase their co-author out of it, and that person recently released a new book. And I have
The
no
bad
interest-
person or the good person?
The bad person.
Oh, we're out on it. Please
Yeah.
let me know, just in case.
Yeah.
Well, got to get your book from Now Serving LA, and then he'll sign
Yeah.
it, and you can ask him, and I'll whisper in your ear.
There it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know.
I
know
love
how to sell a
this.
book. Okay, last one. America has started a national book club. You get to pick next month's selection. What book are we reading?
Asada.
Hey. Which you can get from Now Serving LA right outside. Good old
Man, come back to me. I'm like my brain's a blur right now.
I'm California Soul. And not only that,
Also available.
I will host your books discussion.
I saw you did that.
I have been doing that. Yes.
So if your book club reads this book,
If your
they'll
book-
host you at Alta Adams.
I will host you, feed you, and join the discussion.
You know what? All right. I can't.
It's a good strategy, chef. I'm thinking I might steal
We
that.
love this. We love this for everyone. Did you
Yes.
come up with an answer?
Yeah, Oaxaca.
Okay, Oaxaca. Okay, good.
Oh, yes!
All 3 books are available outside tonight from Now Serving LA. And if you haven't gotten them yet, you should get them now. Thank you all so much for being here. We will see you
Thank
September
you,
14th.
thank you.